The emails are coming back to bite Las Vegas Raiders coach John Gruden, forcing him to call it quits. According to reports, the emails came to light during a toxic workplace investigation into the Washington football team, the Skins. Some of those emails were sent over a decade ago from his personal email account while Gruden worked for ESPN. According to the original report by the Journal, one of his emails dated July 21st, 2011 said this: "DeBrosis Smith has lips the size of Michelin tires. Smith is black." Reporting by the New York Times reveals more dicey messages sent by Gruden. Quote, "In the emails, Gruden called the league's commissioner, Roger Goodell, an F-word and a clueless anti-football P-word, and said that Goodell should not have pressured Jeff Fisher, then the coach of the Rams, to draft queers," a reference to Michael Sam, a gay player chosen by the team in 2014. So there's a debate now in the country. Should John Gruden have been fired? Joining me now with their takes, Fox and Friend Weekend co-host Will Cain and Fox News contributor Richard Fowler. All right, just to begin, obviously, he said something really bad against the commissioner. The commissioner then leaked it to the Times to get him fired. And, you know, you mess with the commissioner like that, that's what happens. So, Richard Fowler, put that aside for a second. Should Gruden have been axed for this?
Listen, I think I'm happy to see he resigned so he wasn't actually fired, even though we're not sure how that went down. But I think he should have been. Not only were these emails heinous, but beyond that, they sort of speak to the opposite of who the Raiders franchise tried to be. The Raiders locker room, but the Raiders franchise is known for being a trailblazer in diversity and inclusion. And what makes these emails even more upsetting is that he sent them to NFL presidents, right, and NFL team owners and other NFL coaching staff. So maybe Gruden is more emblematic of what the NFL leadership looks like than anything else.
Well, I mean, it is it's football. You know, people think it's a private situation. I don't know, Will Cain. I mean, it was some bad stuff in there. Do you think he should have kept his job?
Well, let me first submit to exactly what you and Richard said. I mean, these were vulgar and shameful statements that John Gruden made. But to answer your question directly, Jesse, should he have gotten fired? Then I have to ask, well, what's the standard for somebody getting fired? Because all I can ascertain in 2021 is you're fired when the mob requires that you're fired, and we are increasingly enacting executions in mob justice with greater speed and greater punishment. This happened 10 years ago, to your point, some of them, 2011. They were all by previous employment, none of them while he was with the Raiders. So he's going to pay the price with his current job for what he did in his past job. What more, I think this is important, Jesse. I don't think anybody is truly outraged. Look, anybody in his locker room, not only have they heard worse, they've said worse. I think most people have covered sports have heard worse and said worse. I think the people in the executive offices of the NFL and Park Avenue have heard worse and said as bad. That's not to excuse John Gruden at all. But I want to know who is the morally pure to keep casting all these executions, to keep firing people. I want to know what the standard is if we're all so morally pure.
It's not a merely pure league, Richard. You think you have players in there. Some of them, you know, put knives in people. Some of them are wife beaters. Some of them are child abusers. There's been some real rough stuff that people have been given second chances in the NFL because they have talent. Do you see any sort of hypocrisy there?
Well, listen, I think there should be accountability and transparency across the board, but it's worth pointing out that not only were some of these emails from 2011, but there were some from 2018, right? So if you are a coach of a team, you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the leader, the one that sets the bar, both in your locker room as well as on the field. How do you have the ability and the authority to do that if you're sending emails that are racist, emails that are homophobic, emails that are downright degrading to people who work for you?
Well, yeah.
This is not
everyone's
only problematic,
email
but it speaks
private,
larger to a bigger problem with the league.
You take everyone's private email from many years ago, Richard. There's obviously going to be trouble. But to his point, Will, if he comes out and says, you know what, I've changed or I apologize, do you think he can still lead an NFL team? Do you think these guys are going to be offended by some of these comments, or they're going to be like, oh, OK, let's go win on Sunday?
I think some will be offended, and I think ultimately he probably could have held that locker room and had the Raiders off to a great start this year. I mean, that's beside the point, I guess, of how well he coaches or how well they were doing. You know, really quickly,
we got to run.
Richard said we need accountability. My contention is we're not looking for accountability. We're looking for power. And that's why Deshaun Watson today, although he's suspended, is still in the NFL.
All right.
And John Gruden is not. We're not looking for accountability.
No, we're looking for scapegoats. And
It's worth pointing
you cross
out
the
that the Raiders
commissioner,
did lose
you're
yesterday
toast. We
because
got to
of
run.
bad
Raymond
play.
is up next on the clock.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.